بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا فتحنا لك فتحا مبينا. The first of our salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third with your loudest voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. The writing of the Treaty of Hudaybiya by Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, was without a doubt one of the most important political acts in the life of the Imam. At the same time, it was seen as one of the most important political acts in the religion of Islam. A political act and a treaty that was written when Ali ibn Abi Talib was only 28 years of age. Indeed, you find that the Treaty of Hudaybiya is without a doubt a treaty that requires a thorough examination. It is seen as being one of the first treaties in the religion of Islam. And indeed, therefore, you find that the Treaty of Hudaybiya is one that laid the precedent in our understanding of Islamic political thought and discussion. Unfortunately, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib's role in the writing of this treaty has not been examined with the depth that it deserves. Many times, people have sought purposely to cocoon Ali ibn Abi Talib away from the political world, or to try and portray Ali ibn Abi Talib as a man who is politically inept. You find therefore that when you look at Western academia today, Ali ibn Abi Talib may be seen as a man of bravery or a man of spirituality, but definitely not as a man of political acumen. And indeed, this had been the message and the motto of many who sought to examine Ali ibn Abi Talib. Why? On the first level, you had some people who tried to show him as the brave man of Badr, Uhud and Khandaq. They tried to cocoon him to this area, not out of their love for him, but rather because they never wanted to show that Rasulullah gave the man any importance politically. Therefore, what they tried to do was to try and distance himself away from any political decision. They tried to show that there were men older than Ali ibn Abi Talib who were more politically astute. Ali ibn Abi Talib was still a young boy. Politics was out of his depth. They tried to portray the real men of politics are men above 40, above 50. The young have no political wisdom, no political acumen. Indeed, you find the same occurs in our societies today. If someone young wants to emerge politically, you'll find society will not give them the same reference as someone older. Therefore, on the first level, as I explained in the last few nights, when you looked at the Imam, the first way the Imam was portrayed was a brave man of war. If you want him at Uhud, if you want him at Khandaq, if you want him at Badr, he'll always be there on the front lines. On the second level, they tried to portray Ali ibn Abi Talib as what? As a man of spirituality. They said there's no doubt the beacon of spirituality is Ali ibn Abi Talib. That's why you find in Pakistan today, there are certain sheikhs in Pakistan who are extremely clever in the way they portray Ali ibn Abi Talib, even though they're outside of the school of Ahlul Bayt. They tell you Ali ibn Abi Talib is the greatest. His father Abu Talib was a Muslim. They tell you about the importance of Ahlul Bayt. They even give lectures about Ghadir. Someone turns around and says that when this sheikh in Pakistan does all this, doesn't this mean he's a follower of Ahlul Bayt? Not at all. There's a brilliant agenda there. When you ask him, when you praise Ali at Ghadir, or you say that his father's a Muslim, what are you trying to say? He'll turn around to you and say, well, Ali ibn Abi Talib spiritually is a phenomenal figure. You turn around to him and you say, well, how about politically? He'll say, no, my political guides are someone else and my spiritual guides someone else. That particular theory is a very innovative theory. Why? Because the new theory you see outside of the school of Ahlul Bayt is what? No one could deny the greatness of Amir al-Mu'mineen and his children. So what they decided to say was that the Imams are our spiritual guides and the Caliphs are our political guides. How was this done? Because people recognize you can't take Ali ibn Abi Talib out of the picture. Whether Bani Umayyah tried or Bani Abbas tried, Ali ibn Abi Talib would always remain in the picture. But there's a problem. He remains in the picture as number 4. Even though spiritually and as a man of valor he's higher than the rest. So what was the best way to make Ali ibn Abi Talib or to remodel him? Was to say that Ali ibn Abi Talib spiritually is a great human being. But politically he's a coward. Politically he's inept. Politically he has no role in Islamic history whatsoever. The Treaty of Hudaybiya, when one asks, with all those thousands of companions who were alive at the time, who did Rasulullah ask to write that treaty? Did the Holy Prophet ask the men who were much older than Amir al-Mu'mineen? Or did the Holy Prophet decide that no, if ever you're concerned about Ali ibn Abi Talib's political acumen, come with me, let me display to you what Ali ibn Abi Talib is. Therefore, when you come to this Treaty of Hudaybiya, you find that this was the first of the moments where Ali ibn Abi Talib has an important political position. Ali ibn Abi Talib should never be confined to being a man of spirituality or a man of bravery only. Yes, those two are phenomenal attributes. But the aspect of politics is vital. Why? Because Islam has a social, spiritual and political dimension. A complete Muslim is not just one who's social and spiritual. A complete Muslim is one who is politically involved in the world as well. What they try to do with Amir al-Mu'mineen is to try and say that, listen, Ali was praised by the Prophet, but politically the Prophet gave him no importance. In this way, Ghadir is slowly dismantled as an argument, yes? Because in this way, someone turns around and says, if the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family felt that Amir al-Mu'mineen was a politically astute human being, then surely there would have been moments before Ghadir where he would have indicated that nobody is able to look after the political system of this religion like this young man. How would we reply today if someone came to you and said, before Ghadir, show me 2 moments where Ali ibn Abi Talib is not just a spiritual figure, where Ali ibn Abi Talib is a man of political acumen as well? The first of them is the writing of the Treaty of Hudaybiya. This writing of this treaty is one of the most important moments in the life of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And at the age of 28, it highlighted that none politically are astute as the son of Abu Talib. Let me try and examine this particular treaty and the context of it in order that we're able to understand the ramifications of that particular incident. I'd like to examine it in the following stages. Number 1, how did the Prophet learn that he has to go towards Mecca having not been there for at least 6 years? Number 2, who held the banner of the companions when they went towards Mecca? Number 3, what did the Quraysh do when they heard the Prophet was coming towards Mecca with the companions? Number 4, which envoys did the Prophet send to Mecca? And which one of these envoys didn't return for 19 days? Number 5, when Suhail bin Amr went towards the discussion with the Prophet, what was the discussion and what did Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen face a test in when he was writing the treaty? Number 6, what were the terms of the Hudaybiya treaty? And number 7, how did Imam al-Hasan use this treaty when he had to explain why he made a treaty with Muawiyah? Let me explain this and dissect this topic in complete depth. Many times people ask the question, how did the Holy Prophet know that he has to go towards Mecca? Because we know the Holy Prophet for the first 13 years of his mission was in Mecca. At the age of 53, he had to migrate to Medina because of the dangers that he faced. When he went to Medina, a lot of these companions, their families were where? Their families were still in Mecca. So when they went towards Medina, many of them had not seen their families for a number of years. Many of them had wished to return to at least see the Kaaba. The Prophet himself had missed the Kaaba for 6 years, he hadn't seen it. And therefore you found that now they were in a very strong position. At Khandaq, Ali ibn Abi Talib annihilated the opposition. At Badr, there was a great victory. And now in Medina, they had cemented their strength. In my lecture yesterday, what did I discuss? I discussed how at Khandaq you found that Abu Sufyan and the Quraysh were beginning to give up. Why? They took 10,000 soldiers to Khandaq. Rasulullah had 3,000. They couldn't believe that for the third time in a row, they had tripled the number and couldn't achieve victory. Therefore, the Meccans were in a weak position. And now Rasulullah was in an extremely strong position. And many of the companions began to ask, when will we return to Mecca? Will Mecca's victory be soon? And the Prophet would keep telling them, be patient. Inshallah, there will be a term which is near when we go back. Until he saw a dream where Allah ordered him to go back. As we know, the prophets of God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicates with them in 3 ways. The first way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicates with his prophets is through the angel Gabriel, correct? The angel Gabriel is the middle creation between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his prophet. He brings the revelation. The second way is direct inspiration. Allah directly inspires the prophet, and the prophet speaks what he's been inspired. The third way Allah communicates to his creation is which way? Dreams. When you look, you find that there are 2 prophets before the Holy Prophet who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala communicated to in a dream. The first of them was whom? Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam, correct? In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives Ibrahim what is known as a ru'ya, yes? A dream which is ordained by Allah is a ru'ya. If a person sees a dream which is an inspiration from God, in Arabic it's known as a ru'ya. You found that what had happened, Nabi Ibrahim in the Quran, he tells Nabi Ismail, قال يا بني إني أرى في المنام أني أذبحك فانظر ماذا ترى. Oh my dear son, I've seen in my dream that I meant to sacrifice you. What is your opinion? That's the first dream we see where Allah tells a prophet what to do in a dream. The second dream where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the prophet what to do was Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, correct or no? Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires him in the dream to see the stars and the sun and the moon all prostrate before him. And that's why his father, Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam, says, لا تقصص رؤياك. Don't tell them your dream, otherwise they're going to gang up on you and want to kill you. The third prophet who Allah inspired with knowledge in his dream was on this incident. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspired the prophet in the dream. What did the prophet see? In the 6th year of Hijrah, in Medina, in the month of Dhul Qa'dah, the prophet saw a dream. He had the keys of the Kaaba. And he saw some of his companions in ihram, and others weren't in ihram, and some of them with their heads shaved, and others without their head shaved. So the Holy Prophet recognized that this dream is a message from my Lord. And the message is that I go for the first time back to Mecca after 6 years. He decides to go back and he comes to all his companions. In Medina, the companions had grown in number. He called out to all of them, oh my dear companions, my Lord has sent me a message through my dream that we all go towards Mecca and that Mecca will return to us eventually. Which ones of my companions are ready to come alongside me and join me? You found that 1,400 companions came to the Prophet. They said to him, Ya Rasulullah, all of us are ready to join you and all of us are ready to come alongside you. Rasulullah decided, we're going to set off. Remember, they hadn't done Umrah, they hadn't done Hajj. Rasulullah done 1 Hajj in his life and 2 Umrahs. And this was the first Umrah he would complete in his life. All the terms of it would be agreed. He set out with 1,400 companions. His wife, the only wife he took with him was Salama. The other wives remained in Medina. And he continued, and the holder of the banner on that day was Amir al-Mu'mineen. Amir al-Mu'mineen held the banner. They went out towards where? They went out to go to Mecca. Before they went out, the Prophet stopped all the companions. He said to them, none of you take your swords out of their sheaths. We have not gone out to fight. But Ya Rasulullah, look how powerful we are. What do you mean we haven't gone out to fight? He turned around to them and he said, I have not gone out to fight. I have gone with a mission of peace. Because in life, when you have power, the true power is when you don't use it. Correct or no? All of us may have power in life, but true power is when I hold back from using it. Man's weakness is when he uses power when he can. In reality, you should chill back and then you're really powerful. You found that Rasulullah, what did he do? He said to them, keep your swords in your sheaths. We're not going to fight. Some of them turned around and said, for 6 years they've been oppressing us. In Mecca they used to torture us. He said, no, I'm going to go out and I want to go there to engage in negotiation with the people. Who would engage in negotiation with people who oppressed him all these years? As in those Western Orientalists who said, Muhammad spread the religion by the sword. I reply back to them, when he was so powerful, he could have gone into Mecca and beheaded everyone. He decides and tells his companions, let's go all of us together. We'll enter Mecca together in peace. The companions come alongside him. On his way, the Quraysh find out that the Prophet is on his way to Mecca. Now the Quraysh are thinking, that's it, we're going to be annihilated. At Khandaq, 10,000 versus 3,000 and he won. Now he's got the bigger number. Surely there's going to be a bloodbath. Muhammad's going to enter Mecca and demolish us. So what do? They sent Khalid ibn Walid with 200 soldiers. They sent Khalid ibn Walid with 200 soldiers to go and attack the Prophet. The Prophet, when he heard, he decided to take the rocky roads into Mecca. Why? He knew which road Khalid would come from, so he decided to take the rocky roads into Mecca. And on his way, riding on his camel stopped. Now when his camel stops, this is always a sign for him, correct or no? The first time his camel stopped was when he made what? Masjid al-Nabawi, correct? When he built his mosque. How did he build his mosque? He built his mosque on an area where the camel had stopped. The area by the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari where he stayed in Medina. You found therefore Rasulullah, this time his camel stopped. The companions were waiting for the camel to get up. The camel wouldn't. They waited. Rasulullah said, this is a sign. When my camel sits in an area, it means we have to camp in this area. What was the area? Just outside Mecca on the borders, an area by the name of Hudaybiya. The camel stopped there. The Holy Prophet sat there with the companions. He said, everyone stay here. We will remain out here until we send envoys between us and the Quraysh. The Quraysh, when they heard he had settled, were wondering, why is Muhammad settled? Muhammad's so powerful, he can walk into Mecca now and finish us. Why is Muhammad settled? So the Quraysh began to send envoy after envoy. When they sent their envoys, these envoys would come. When the envoy would come, he'd come and meet the Prophet. Muhammad, why are you here? He says, I'm here for peace. He said, what do you mean? He said, we haven't performed Umrah or Hajj. My companions and ours left Mecca to come to Medina. Some of them haven't seen their sisters in ages. Some haven't seen their moms. Some don't know where their dads are. We want to return to Mecca in peace. I have no intention to fight any of you, even those of you who have oppressed me. I want to enter Mecca with peace. They went back. They came to the heads of Quraysh. They said to them, what happened? He said, you know what? Muhammad wants to come in peace. He said, what do you mean wants to come in peace? All these companions, they want to come in peace. He said, yes. He says, all he wants to do is come and see the Kaaba. The companions see their family. And then he returns to Medina. They sent a second envoy. The second envoy came. He met the Prophet. He said, Muhammad, what's your intention coming here? He said, sincerely, I've come for peace. Not one of my companions will raise his sword while they're with me. He went back. The Quraysh weren't convinced. The Quraysh then decided to send a man, a pivotal man in history. Ali al-Akbar's great-grandfather. Ali al-Akbar, from his grandfathers, all of them are famous figures. One of the great-grandfathers of Ali al-Akbar is who? Abu Sufyan, correct or no? Ali al-Akbar's mother, Layla, is the daughter of Maymuna, daughter of Abu Sufyan. Yes? That's why Yazid on the 10th of Muharram says, do not kill Ali al-Akbar, for his mother is my cousin. Yes? That's one grandfather. A second grandfather is of course whom? Of course Amir al-Mu'mineen. A third grandfather, Urwa bin Mas'ud al-Thaqafi. Ali al-Akbar has got some phenomenal relatives, yes? From one side Bani Hashim, one side Bani Umayyah, one side Banu Thaqif. What a phenomenal recipe that is, yes? Ali al-Akbar's great-grandfather, Urwa bin Mas'ud al-Thaqafi, was the head of Banu Thaqif. Being the head of Banu Thaqif, you found that he came to the Meccans. He said, listen, I'll go and meet Muhammad, I don't mind. But I'll tell you one thing. If I come back with an answer and you reject it, I have no intention in going. Because the others you've sent have told you Muhammad wants peace and you're dismissing it. If I go to meet him, will you listen? They said yes. Urwa reached Rasulullah. These Arabs all have their own particular ways, correct? When Urwa came to meet Rasulullah, normally when we come and meet each other, what do we do? Salaamu alaykum, correct? Or you come and shake the hands. Urwa came to Rasulullah, pulled his beard and put his knee in the lap of Rasulullah. Thaqif, the way they say Salaamu alaykum to you is by pulling your beard. Yes? May Allah not show us people like this. As in literally he came and he pulled your beard and then his knee would be in your lap. Mughira bin Shu'bah was there. Mughira bin Shu'bah came. He said, what are you doing? How dare you do that to Rasulullah? Urwa turned around and said, Mughira, is that you, my nephew? You're teaching me how to behave? Mughira bin Shu'bah and wama adraka ma Mughira bin Shu'bah. That's I'll leave for another day. He said to him, that you're telling me how to behave? Rasulullah looked at Mughira and said, Mughira, sit down. If the culture of Banu Thaqif is to pull someone's beard when they say salam, so be it. What's wrong? If that's their culture and he wants to pull my beard, I don't mind. You see, Rasulullah never said culture doesn't have a place in religion. Culture has a major place in religion, except when it goes outside the laws of religion. That's it. Otherwise, culture has a place. You found that he sat with him. Rasulullah looked at Urwa. Urwa, you are a man of respect. You are the head of Thaqif. He looked towards him. He said to him, why have you come? He said, Muhammad. Why have you come towards Mecca? He said, Urwa, I've come as a man of peace. All my companions have come with one intention. We want to go around the Kaaba. We want to perform Umrah. We want to do the Safa and the Marwa. That's it. And we will return to Medina. You found that Urwa bin Mas'ud al-Thaqafi turned around. He said, and that's your intention? He said, yes. He said, that's it. That's all I need to know. Urwa bin Mas'ud returned back to the Quraysh. He said, oh people of Quraysh, let me make something very clear to you. They said, what is it? He said, oh people of Quraysh, Muhammad has come with peace. And I tell you that's his only intention. And I also tell you, there are no companions like the companions who adore him. He said, what do you mean? He said, when Muhammad's doing his ablution, as the water drops from his hand, they jump to take some of that water onto their face. He said, if there was saliva dripping from his mouth, they'd come and take that saliva for its effects, for its cures. Therefore, you found that what had happened, he told them that these companions have come sincerely. They have not come to fight. They've come with a sincere intention. Do not be people who come out and cause bloodshed. You should be people who look out with him and try and negotiate and discuss with the man. Again, the Quraysh weren't interested. You know what the Quraysh did? They tried to ambush Rasulullah in the middle of the night. They sent 70 soldiers in the middle of the night to try and ambush. But now, Islam was much stronger than Mecca. In Mecca, when you tried to ambush him on the night of Hijrah, it was easy. Today, 1,000 Muslims in Medina, you're going to get past them? Rasulullah, they called the 70. When the 70 were called, they said, Muhammad, kill us. We don't mind. He said, what do you mean? He said, finish us. He said, wait, what's wrong with you? I haven't come here to fight. All of you, go home. They looked at him. They looked at him and they said to him that you're going to let us go? He said, yes, I'm going to let you go. They said to him, but Muhammad, all these years, he said, do not worry. He said, go back towards your homes. When they returned back home, the Quraysh began to wonder, hold on a minute, these 70 got caught and now they're all sent home. Surely this must be a message to us. At the same time, the Holy Prophet now wanted to send his envoys, correct? The Quraysh have been sending envoys to us. Now let us send our envoys. But he needed to look around at his companions, at an envoy who had no blood on his sword whatsoever. Why? You see, if I send someone with blood on his sword from Badr, from Uhud, from Khandaq, then the Meccans can't wait to eat and drink the person, correct or no? That person, if he walks into Mecca, all of them will gang up on him and finish him. Therefore, he looked around. He wondered, which of my companions has attended all the battles with me, yet there's never been any blood on his sword? He looked around, he saw Umar ibn al-Khattab in front of him. When he saw Umar ibn al-Khattab in front of him, he said, Umar, come to me. He said, yes. He said, I want you to enter Mecca, because you know the books of history are very clear. When you read the books of history academically, they're very clear in showing Umar ibn al-Khattab, in all his years with Rasulullah, does not have one victim in war. Ali ibn Abi Talib has won every victory for the religion of Islam, yet the books of history gave the victory to someone else. Umar ibn al-Khattab does not have one victim in any battlefield, and I, as a historian, defy anyone to come and show me. At Badr, 35 of the 70, Ali ibn Abi Talib. Uhud. Khandaq, Amr ibn Wad al-Amiri. When we get to Khaybar and Hunayn in the next few nights, there's only one man whose name will emerge, yes? He told Umar, would you go on our behalf as an envoy? He turned around to him, he said, Ya Rasulullah, I don't have anyone to protect me in Mecca. If I had someone to protect me, I'll go. But I don't have anyone. Can you pick someone else? Rasulullah turned around. This, by the way, is not a laughing matter. This is historical analysis from the minbar. I'm not here to be someone who's giving comedy on the minbar. This is analysis, and there may be people from other schools in Islam sitting. When he looked around, he said, is there anyone else? He said, whom? He said, Uthman bin Affan. He bought Uthman. Uthman bin Affan had no one yet killed, so he bought Uthman bin Affan. When he bought him, he said, Uthman, would you enter Mecca? Uthman knew very well from every angle in Mecca. He had friends, he had family. So Uthman went towards entering Mecca, so he discusses with them. People thought Uthman would return within a day or two, correct? Maybe 3 days, 4 days, maybe a week, maybe 10 days. 19 days, nothing heard about Uthman at all. No one heard a thing. Where is Uthman? What's Uthman done? We've sent Uthman to discuss. Rasulullah began to wonder about the rest of the companions around him. Because there was a feeling that maybe Uthman bin Affan's been executed. Are all of you now in fear? Because Uthman bin Affan's been away for 19 days. And now the thirst is affecting some of these. Their provisions aren't enough. Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari, I'll never forget, narrates a hadith. He said some of these companions were coming to Rasulullah saying, Muhammad, you said that we'll achieve victory. We're waiting here this many days. We have no water to drink. He said there was a cup of water in the hands of Rasulullah. He said to them, you have no water to drink? They said, yes. He put his hand in the water began to overflow from the cup. Yes? He said, all of you, come and drink from this water. Then he turned around to them and said, oh my companions, are you all willing to pledge your allegiance to me? That you remain loyal to me if I enter Mecca? And that you believe in me wholeheartedly? All of them came and pledged a famous pledge under the tree of Ridwan. Yes? Bay'at al-Ridwan, the bay'ah Allah mentions in Surah Al-Fatih, the bay'ah under the tree, لَقَدْ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ يُبَايَعُونَكَ. Yes? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with the believers when they pledge to you under the tree. Yes? They all came, they pledged under the tree. Some of our brothers from other schools in Islam, what do they say? They say this is the proof that no one can ever discuss the companions in a wrong way. You say, what do you mean? They say in the Quran, Allah says, I am pleased with those companions who pledged under the tree. So why do you followers of Ahlul Bayt disrespect the companions? If 1,399 companions pledged under the tree, and Allah says, I am pleased with all of them, how dare you turn around and say that you disrespect the companions? We reply, just because you pledged under the tree does not mean you are going to remain loyal to Rasulullah after he dies, correct or no? There are people who pledged under the tree that day who afterwards were exposed as the biggest hypocrites. Let me give you 2 examples. Al-Juhani pledged to Rasulullah under the tree that day. Do you know who Abu al-Ghadi al-Juhani is? Abu al-Ghadi al-Juhani is the man who killed Ammar bin Yasir in the Battle of Siffin, yes? Ammar pledged that day. Abu al-Ghadiya pledged that day. Both of them pledged. One killed the other. The killer and the killed are both going to Jannah because of the tree. Abu al-Ghadi al-Juhani killed Ammar bin Yasir, and you found people turn around saying, you know what, all of them have to go Jannah. I'll give you another example. Abdullah bin Ubay came and pledged to Rasulullah under the tree. When he pledged to Rasulullah under the tree, Abdullah bin Ubay, later the Quran exposed him as a hypocrite. For those who say just because someone pledged under the tree means we can't discuss them, I've given you 2 names. There are people who pledged to Rasulullah under the tree, later on turned out to be the biggest hypocrites, yes? Allah in that ayah said, I know what's in their hearts when they pledge under the tree. Correct or no? I can come to you now, I say Salaam alaikum to you. As soon as I leave you, I stab you 100 times in the back. Yes? And then there are others, when they say Salaam alaikum to you, they mean it from their heart. Therefore you found that they came and they pledged. Rasulullah made it clear. All of you are loyal, yes. When the Quraysh realized that Muhammad hasn't come for war, what did the Quraysh do? The Quraysh sent out whom? They sent out their envoy to discuss with Rasulullah. This is when the treaty now emerges. When their envoy came out, what was his name? His name was Suhail bin Amr. Yes? Suhail bin Amr came out to meet Rasulullah. Rasulullah told Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, Ali, come here. He said, what is it, Ya Rasulullah? He said, out of all my companions, you are the one who writes this political treaty. Yes? To make it clear to all of them that, listen, if ever there's a day you say Ali ibn Abi Talib is not politically fit to lead, don't forget the day of Hudaybiya when I made him write this treaty. Yes? He called him. He said to him, Ali, come, you sit here, Suhail sit here, please write the terms of the treaty. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib came, he was 28 at the time. He came, he sat down, he began to write. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. So I said, wait, what's going on? He said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. He said, oh, if we believed Allah is Rahman and Rahim, we wouldn't be sitting here. So Rasulullah told Ali, he said to him, oh Ali, delete ar-Rahman and delete Rahim. Yes? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib turned around, what did he do? He deleted Rahman, he deleted Rahim. Then after that he wrote down, this is a treaty made by Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And when he made that treaty, what happened? He wrote down, this is a treaty made by the Prophet, Messenger of God. So he said, wait. He said, what? He said, if we believe Muhammad is the Messenger of God, we wouldn't be here debating you today. Delete that line. Rasulullah turned around to Amir al-Mu'mineen. He said to him, Ali, delete that line. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib turned around to Rasulullah and said, Ya Rasulullah, can I be excused from deleting that you are Rasulullah? I can't bear to delete that you are the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Rasulullah, how dare they want to delete you as the Prophet of God? Rasulullah looked at him and he told him, point to me, where is it written? He pointed to him, he removed it with his hands. Then he said to him, it's a sunnah that will happen with another sunnah. What did he mean? At the Battle of Siffin, when Imam meets Amr ibn al-As, they're writing the treaty together. Imam writes down, this is a treaty by Amr ibn al-As with, Imam writes down, this is a treaty by Amr ibn al-As with Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. Amr ibn al-As says, hold on, why am I here to debate you if I believe you are Amir al-Mu'mineen? Delete it. Imam at this moment remembered, a sunnah with a sunnah. That Rasulullah said to me, there'll be a day the same thing happens to me. You found that Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib deleted that area. Then Rasulullah sat with Suhail, sat with Ali. He said, let's make the terms of this treaty. Wait. Ya Rasulullah, you're so powerful. Why make a treaty? Why not enter Mecca and finish Abu Sufyan once and for all? No. Sometimes the best way to expose hypocrisy is through a treaty. Understand this point. The best way to expose hypocrisy isn't just fighting it, it's writing terms and seeing if the man's a hypocrite with the treaty. Yes? Rasulullah said the first term of the treaty is what? Next year we will return to perform Umrah. They said yes, we agree. Next year Muhammad returns for Umrah. Remember, the treaty was written with 2 copies. One was to be given to the Meccans, another to us. And this is an example in our business dealings. A number of copies of one document can be vital in making sure there's no argument between the family members later on, yes? Rasulullah said, I want 2 documents, 2 written out. Suhail, yours is for Mecca. Ali, yours is for Medina. He said, number 1, we will return next year to perform Umrah. Number 2, our Umrah will be 3 days long. We will bring no weapons with us. We'll only take our sacrificial animals. We will sacrifice them and then we'll return. Number 3, there will be 10 years of peace between the Muslims and the Quraysh. No Qurayshi will kill a Muslim and no Muslim will touch a Qurayshi. Number 4, if a Muslim wants to leave Islam, fundamental point on those of you who debate apostasy, you can use it in your debates. Number 4, if a Muslim wants to leave Islam and go to Mecca, they can go without no Muslim stopping them. And if a Meccan wants to leave Mecca to come to Medina, the Muslims will hand him back to the people of Mecca. He said to Suhail, have you written your points? He said yes. He said to Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, have you written the points? He said yes. He looked at both points. Fantastic. Umrah next year for the first time. 3 days Umrah. 10-year peace treaty. If a Muslim leaves Medina, they can go back to their families, they can leave Islam. If a Meccan comes to Medina to become Muslim, we'll send him back to the people of Mecca to show that we're not trying to be missionaries over here. Number 6, Muhammad is an equal to everyone in Quraysh. And that there is no one in Quraysh who can absolve him or attack him in the way they've been attacking before. Do you agree? They said to him, yes, Muhammad, we agree. He turned around and the treaty was signed by Imam Ali. One of the companions, no need to mention names, the books of history say the name. One of them came to Abu Bakr. He said to him, is this man a prophet? He said to him, yes. He said, are we not Muslims? He said, we are. He said, so what's this treaty he's doing with them? Today, I question this man's prophethood. It's not the first time he questions, by the way. Because I get surprised when people come and tell me, this man's a great figure, this man, shaitan walked across the road when he saw him, this man, ladies miscarried when they see his face. This man, throughout his life, is questioning Rasulullah at Hudaybiya. Go and read any reference you want. Who questioned the prophethood of Rasulullah on the day of Hudaybiya? He said, today, I question his prophethood. He told us, we'll enter Mecca, we'll be victorious. Where is Mecca? Rasulullah turned around to all of them, he said, when I tell you we'll enter Mecca, do you trust me? They said, yes. He said, very well, watch, we will enter Mecca very soon. Allah replied to the man who questioned the Prophet by revealing the first verse of Surah Al-Fath. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. Oh Muhammad, this treaty of Hudaybiya is your greatest victory. Many times people believe Inna fatahna is when you open Mecca. No. The opening of Mecca was what? إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ. That's the opening of Mecca. إِنَّا فَتَحْنَا لَكَ فَتْحًا مُبِينًا. Surah 48 verse number 1 was the victory of Hudaybiya. Hold on. What's Rasulullah's greatest victory? Badr? No. Uhud? No. Khandaq? No. I thought Muhammad was a man of war. His greatest victory was a peace treaty. Sometimes in life, the battlefield isn't the greatest victory. It's when you could sacrifice your ego to enter a treaty for the cause of the religion of Islam. Yes? Therefore, you found the Holy Prophet entered that treaty. Within 16 months, Mecca was in the hands of the religion of Islam. Yes? Why? Because he exposed them. He knew these people. If I kill them, no one's going to know their hypocrisy, these people of the Quraysh. But if I make terms with them that there'll be 10-year peace, then believe me, people will know what hypocrites they are. Do you know why? Within a year of the treaty, in the middle of the night, the Banu Bakr of the Quraysh ambushed the Banu Khaza'a. And they executed them, looking to behead them, they beheaded them. The terms of the Hudaybiya treaty said what? 10 years what? Peace, correct? 10 years truce. What did they do? They couldn't take it. How's Muhammad winning? How's Muhammad got power? In the middle of the night, they ambushed some of Rasulullah's followers and beheaded them. And that's why for university students over here, when you're watching CNN, you're watching Fox News, how many times do you see the same verses of the Quran are always quoted? Kill the disbelievers wherever you see them. Do you agree or no? Every year, every day, every month, they take a verse out of the Quran. They say, look, the Quran says, kill the disbelievers wherever you see them. The Quran is a violent book. The Quran is not a book that should be studied. Wait. What's the context of this? What's the context of this verse? The context is we had made a 10-year peace treaty. They went behind our backs and beheaded our followers. The verse says before it, verse number 4 and verse number 6. You see, no one ever shows the verses before and after, correct? It's always that verse. The verse before says, those who haven't broken the treaty, don't attack them. They've done nothing wrong. The verse after it says, those who don't know about Islam, if they ask you what is Islam, sit with them. Don't attack. But those who have broken the treaty, you should turn around to them. What should you do? You should turn around to them and say to them, they've got 4 months, yes? If they don't repent, and if they don't ask for forgiveness for what they've done, then these people are to be punished according to the state. When someone turns around to me like Terry Jones in Florida and says, the Quran is a book full of violent verses, I say, hold on a minute. If I want to show you other religious books, I can show you more violent than the Quran, yes? But I respect those other religious books. Why? Because I recognize with those other religious books what? You can't take anything out of context, yes? The context of Surah 9 verse 5 was what? Hudaybiya, Ali ibn Abi Talib had written it up. Rasulullah had drawn it out. 10-year peace treaty between the Muslims. These people came behind the back of Rasulullah, broke the terms of the treaty, ambushed them and killed. Therefore you found that Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, amongst all of the companions, clearly Rasulullah had seen that he is the one who has the political acumen to write the treaties. And that's why in a few nights I'll examine the second treaty that Ali ibn Abi Talib wrote. It wasn't just Hudaybiya. There's a second treaty Imam Ali wrote, which we'll examine in a few nights. Rasulullah could have picked many other companions. There were many companions, somewhere in their 30s, somewhere in their 40s, somewhere in their 50s, older than Ali. Someone says, why do you harp on that they're older than Ali? Because when it came to Ghadir, everyone was saying Ali is too young to become Khalifa, correct? It didn't seem Rasulullah thought he was too young when he wrote the Treaty of Hudaybiya, yes? If Rasulullah thought Ali ibn Abi Talib at 28 has the political prowess to be able to write a treaty, then you are questioning whether he can handle the Quraysh at the age of 33 when Ghadir happened. Therefore, Ali ibn Abi Talib wrote this treaty, and his son Imam al-Hassan used it when they attacked him. In which way? Because many people turn around and say, why didn't Imam al-Hassan kill Muawiyah and finish him? Why did Imam al-Hassan sign a treaty? Until today, many assume that Imam al-Hussein is the braver of the two. That Imam al-Hussein, because he fought at Karbala, he is braver than Imam al-Hassan. That Imam al-Hassan, they look at him and they say, he's a coward. Look at him, he signs a treaty. Whereas Imam al-Hussein lets down his life. First of the points is what? First of the points is that Imam al-Hassan did try and fight Muawiyah. But the problem is, most of his soldiers were soldiers of his father. They had been in 3 civil wars in 4 years. Many of them were tired of war. Therefore, many of them did not want to turn up because they were sick and tired of war. That was number 1. Number 2, Imam al-Hassan did what his grandfather did at the height of power. What was it? Because when people came to him and they said to him, why have you made this treaty with Muawiyah? Why don't you fight him? He said, I have done what my grandfather did at Hudaybiya. Yes? When my grandfather was in a great position, he decided the best way to expose hypocrisy was how? Was to make a terms of the treaty. Likewise, I will expose Muawiyah through this treaty. Muawiyah publicly prays. Muawiyah publicly fasts, correct or no? But Muawiyah, if I put terms on a treaty with him, when he breaks those terms, you'll see the munafiq and you'll see the mu'min. You'll see the difference between hypocrisy and iman. When he came to writing the terms of the treaty, subhanallah, and I'm not surprised when I read the line, had Imam al-Hassan not made a treaty with Muawiyah, there would not be a single follower of Ahlul Bayt alive in the world today. 100% right. If it wasn't for the treaty of Imam al-Hassan with Muawiyah, none of us would be here today. That treaty saved the future of the path of Ahlul Bayt. Because Imam al-Hassan could have gone with his ego and said, you know what, I'll look like I have lost. But not at all. What's wrong with writing a treaty and exposing the hypocrisy of that man? And what were the terms of the treaty? The terms, one by one, exposed Muawiyah, like the terms when Hudaybiya exposed the Quraysh. The first of the terms was what? You stop the cursing of my father on the Friday prayers. 50 years from the time Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen died, every Friday prayer has to begin with a curse on Ali ibn Abi Talib. Every Friday prayer has to begin with a curse on Ali ibn Abi Talib. If Ali ibn Abi Talib is not cursed on the pulpits on a Friday prayer, that governor is sacked. Mughira bin Shu'bah, Ziyad bin Abi, Samara bin Jundub, Bisr bin Atta, all of these, every Friday prayer, in the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, may God curse Ali son of Abu Talib. Every Friday prayer. Until Umar bin Abdul Aziz decided to stop it. That was number 1. Number 2, the second of the terms was what? That you protect the sunnah of my grandfather Rasulullah. Yes? That was the second of the terms. He said, Muawiyah, the second of the terms of the treaty, you protect the sunnah of my grandfather. Do you know how many sunnahs he changed? Let me give you 2 sunnahs. The first of them, Salat al-Jum'ah is to be prayed on which day? Salat al-Jum'ah on which day? Jum'ah, correct? He prayed it on a Wednesday. Which day is it? Friday. He prayed it on Wednesday. And that's why Imam Ali says, give me 1 of Muawiyah's, I'll give you 10 of mine. Yes? If you can obey a man that much that you pray Jum'ah on a Wednesday, what type of followers does this man have? Yes? Number 2, you know in Salat al-Jum'ah, what do they say? وَإِذَا رَأَوْا تِجَارَةً أَوْ لَهْوًا انْفَضُّوا إِلَيْهَا وَتَرَكُوكَ قَائِمًا When they see merchandise and trade, they run away towards it and they leave you standing. From there we take the law that the Imam of Salat al-Jum'ah has to give the khutbah standing, not sitting. Do you know who sat when he gave khutbah? Muawiyah. Muawiyah can't be bothered standing up. You know, as in Muawiyah, when they asked Imam al-Nasa'i, why don't you give many merits to Muawiyah? He said, which merit? He said, give him some merits. He said, the only merit I know is that Rasulullah said, however much he eats, his stomach will never be full. Yes? Muawiyah couldn't be bothered standing up in Salat al-Jum'ah, so he'd sit down. Change the sunnah of Rasulullah, number 2. Number 3, you stop the killing of the Shia of my father. Yes? That Muawiyah, we're signing a treaty, you claim to be a Khalifa, you claim to be righteous, you stop the killings of the Shia of my father. Did he stop? Hujr bin Adi, executed. Ammar bin Hamaq al-Khuza'i, executed. All of the great companions of Ahl al-Bayt, Maytham al-Tammar, one after the other, executed. Rushad al-Hajari, Ammar bin Hamaq al-Khuza'i, Hujr bin Adi, people who stood up against Muawiyah, all of them executed one by one. Number 4, the blood money of the martyrs from Jamal and Safin, you give the blood money back. Didn't give any of the blood money back. He kept the blood money for himself. He made sure that none of it went back. But number 5, and what a number 5, yes? Number 5, when you die, the Khilafah comes back to me. If not me, to my brother Hussein, correct or no? Yes? That was the ultimate one which everyone was waiting for. Why? Because Imam al-Hassan died in the 50th year after Hijrah. So Imam al-Hussein lived for 11 years before Karbala. Why didn't Imam al-Hussein fight Muawiyah straight after Imam al-Hassan? Because Imam al-Hussein was waiting for that last term of the treaty to be broken, yes? Let's expose Muawiyah fully for what Muawiyah is, like our grandfather exposed what the Quraysh were. Muawiyah, the last of the terms of Imam Hassan was what? When I die, the Khilafah back to Hassan. If not Hassan, then to Hussein. Did he give it to Imam al-Hassan? Not at all. Did he give it to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam? Not at all. Who did he give it to? He gave it to his son Yazid, yes? If ever there was a treaty that exposed Muawiyah, it wasn't fighting Muawiyah. It was making a treaty where he breaks each of the terms of the treaty. One by one, Imam al-Hassan had outwitted him politically, yes? Muawiyah, even after the treaty, when he reflected, he thought, why did I enter into a treaty? I was so hungry for power. I could have trampled Hassan. What was the need? You plan and we plan, but we are the greatest of planners, correct? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to, He'll plan in the best of ways. And that's why on a night like this, when we remember Imam al-Hassan, no harm remembering a few of his masa'ib, yes? Because inevitably there is a sense of neglect when it comes to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. There's a sense of neglect when a person comes towards remembering that lonely man who sits in Jannat al-Baqi', alone there with no dome to protect him. Indeed, you find that that exposition of that treaty allowed the people to understand the hypocrisy of the opposition. And no doubt those memories, Muawiyah knew very well that I need to get rid of Hassan in order that I get rid of Ali ibn Abi Talib's son once and for all. And how did he get rid of him? I tell you, when you read the lives of each of the Imams of Ahl al-Bayt, each of them was poisoned, yes, but the only Imam to die on the same night from his poisoning was Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. The rest of them may have survived a day, the others may have survived for a couple of days. But Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, you find that on the same night, Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam passed away. And that moment when he vomited out his liver, yes, into that bowl, and only Abu Abdullah sat in that room that day. Oh, stranger of Baqi', hear our tears and hear our hearts remembering you, yes? And those lonely men next to Zayn al-Abidin, next to Muhammad al-Baqir, next to Ja'far al-Sadiq, those graves in Baqi', those of you who've been there, take your hearts back to Jannat al-Baqi'. Take your hearts and soften your hearts in Jannat al-Baqi'. You find that Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam sitting down, Imam al-Hussein next to him. And that moment Abu Abdullah narrates that I saw my brother vomiting his liver into the bowl in front of me. And the pain overcame Abu Abdullah looking at his brother in this way. And this moment Abu Abdullah heard the steps coming towards the door. He went towards the bowl and covered the bowl with some cloth. Imam al-Hassan looked at him. He said to him, Abu Abdullah, what are you doing? He said to him, I hear my sister Zainab coming towards the room. I wanted to to cover the ball. He looked towards him and he said to him, Aba Abdullah, you cover this ball, but how about the ball when your head is inside it in front of Zainab and Sham? I say to him, Ya Aba, Ya Imam al-Hasan, I want to say to you one line. Not only was the head of Aba Abdullah in that ball, but your son Qasim's head was in the ball next to it. And next to him, Ali al-Akbar. And I'd love it to say the head of the 6-month-old, but the 6-month-old had nothing remaining of his head. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Ya Allah, allow us to celebrate the birth of Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam. Allow us to visit Jannat al-Baqi'. If you don't mind raising your hands for dua, I don't think it's too problematic just to go a few inches higher. It won't really hurt the muscle that badly. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise us with Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Ya Allah, allow us to unite under the banner of Muhammad and Al Muhammad. Ya Allah, our brothers in Iraq, look after them, protect them, honor them. Our brothers in Syria, our brothers in Pakistan, on the borders of Afghanistan, Ya Allah, protect them in all their ways. Bring peace and prosperity to them. Our brothers in Bahrain, Ya Allah, remove the hardship that they face on a daily basis. Our brothers in the Hijaz, Ya Allah, the oppression that they face, and the mashayikh of Ahlul Bayt who are in prisons, Ya Allah, allow them to be freed from those prisons. The originators of this majlis, allow them to continue in their protection and their love of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. Ya Allah, allow us to complete the seerah of Amir al-Mu'mineen with good health. Allow our children to honor the path of Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the surah al-Fatiha, but before it, the loudest of your salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala